So in today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to make this little tiny pumpkin. Now, if you don't know how to do a backstitch, I'll briefly explain it, but I do have another video up on how to do a backstitch. So stay tuned. First things first, make your first loop. And to make this tiny pumpkin, we're going to chain 10. Once you have your 10 chained, I want you to chain 1, and we're going to go into this first stitch. And we're just going to chain 10 across, single crochet. So a little tip, if you're going to be stuffing something, I always use a hook that's half a measurement under what you would normally use for this gauge of wool. So I would normally use either a 4.5 or a 5 for this wool, but I'm using a 4 just because I want it really tightly weaved so none of my stuffing kind of starts coming out. So now that we're at the end of this first row, we're going to chain 1. It can sometimes make it a little bit more difficult. Turn your work, and we're going to backstitch all the way down. So what that means is putting a single crochet in just this part of the V, okay? So as we see here, it does make it a little bit more difficult, but you have a nicer product at the end, I find. So single crochet back always means it's the one that's away from you. And always remember to count if you're not sure. Now that we're at the end, you go number 10. Don't miss that 10th one, and we're going to chain 1, turn our work. And you'll see it's a bit tighter. It's almost like elasticy. That's fine. So again, skip this little first one and crochet into there. That's why you chained 1. And crochet into the back, the one facing away from you. And we're going to want to do 28 rows. Keep in mind that the more you chain or the longer you make it will change the size of your pumpkin. Now, if you're making this and you ever lose track of, oh no, I can't remember how many rows I've crocheted, each one of these little humps counts as 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We're at 10. It's just an easier way to count it. Way easier than trying to go through and be like, oh no, how many rows did I count? So I'm at 10. I have 18 more to go, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we're just putting our last single crochet in. We have 28 rows here, okay? So we are going to chain 1, but this time we're going to bring up our work from this end, and see how it's flat on this end and kind of up on this side. So you want to bring it over, and we are going to backstitch to front stitch. Okay, so the front stitch is the one that's facing you, the back stitch is away. So we are going to single crochet, front stitch to back stitch. So front stitch to back stitch. The first one always wants to be tricky because that's how life works. So again, that is going to be front stitch, the one facing you or closest to you, to the one farthest away from you. Okay, back stitch. Single crochet. front stitch, back stitch. So now we do one more chain because we're going to tie that off, but you're going to want about, I would say, maybe 2 feet of yarn for the end. Okay, just it's better to be safe than sorry, so cut your yarn at about 2 feet. Now you're going to pull this guy through to tie it off. Nice and secure. Now we're going to turn it inside out, and you see the way we did that, it kind of creates another line there for you. From here on out, you're going to need a upholstery needle or a yarn needle. So we'll just thread that. Now you see all the little bumps. We're going to put that one can just get tucked in. Oh, wrong one. This one can just get tucked in. So we're going to put all of our stitches through those little bumps, because this is how we're going to tighten this and fasten it. That's easier. There we go. So stitch this all the way around. Now that we're at the end, I like to do just a quick one in the end. Kind of overlap it. So now make sure your little thread is tucked in, and we're just going to pull this guy tight. There we go. Pull that guy in more. Okay, now that it's pulled tight, you're going to want to go around one more time and just kind of stitch it so we get an extra pull on there, so it gets extra tight, because you want the hole to be mostly closed. Okay. So now we can pull it tight again. See how much tighter that gets that hole? You don't want it all the way tight quite yet. So now it's time to stuff our pumpkin. I just use polyfill. These little guys take so much more filling than you'd think. So we get a lot of it in there. And before, set that aside. So now we're going to take our stitch, bring it up through the center. And this is kind of where we're going to get part of that pumpkin look. So we're going to go back around the edge with some of your stuffing in. Just start at any edge you want. And stitch it around again, just like we did on the bottom. Now are you ready? We're just going to pull tight and it just seals up, and having that thread in there kind of pulls it into a pumpkin shape. But first we're going to put some more polyfill in. Now if you don't want or can't use your finger, use the end of a pencil or the end of your crochet hook to just shove it in. Make sure they're good and full. It is amazing how much polyfill will go into this pumpkin. FYI. See, the end of your crochet hook will also work. I think that's, nope, we still need a bit. And just feel around for where there's discrepancies in your pumpkin's shape, so you know where to kind of stuff more polyfill in. I think that's good. So we are going to seal up the top the same way we did the bottom, and then we will make the stem. So you can see by pulling, we're going to just tighten up the top here like this. And if you see by pulling, you're making this hole a lot smaller as well. We're going to make the stem, and I'm going to show you how to just finish off the top. To make the pumpkin stem, I'm going to use some black yarn, same size crochet hook. We are just going to chain 8, okay? 8, chain 1, and we are just going to single crochet into the back loop. So into this part of the pattern. So you skip that first one, the first one we chained. Now this can be a little bit tricky on the first attempt, but it does give a really nice look. So now that we have that, we're just going to loop it off, and you don't need a lot, so I would maybe cut it there. So now we're going to tie it together. And this is your little stem. We are going to attach it. Just kind of put through the bottom crochet there. Oh, it wasn't the bottom one. There we go. There we go. It's okay to have the strings and stuff. It's perfectly fine. Stick this first one through all the way through, okay? And then he's stuck in there, and we're going to come back, but this time I'm going to loop into a side and bring it back up through the middle. So as we're doing this, as we're tying this guy on, we're also going to start really closing this up and giving it a couple of stitches, okay? So we want to make sure we get this through him, through the stem, and back down the middle. We have that done. We're just going to stitch this right in there again and pull it through anywhere, because you just kind of pull it and then snip, and then your end will go in. So as for these two ends, I'm going to stitch them both into the pumpkin individually, okay? So we're going to put this guy in. I'll stick it in right here and just pull it through. And then he's good to go. And we're going to take this one and do the exact same thing, but not so much in the same spot. There we go. And there we are. So now we just pull, snip, and then there we go. So here is the end result of your pumpkin video. There is another way to attach the stem, and I'm going to show you guys that way to attach the stem on a different pumpkin. It's not as secure as this way, but it still works for a decorative pumpkin. This I was thinking more of a keychain. So anywho, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, any comments, please, please, please leave them down below. I always try to answer questions, and I really hope you guys enjoy crocheting as much as I do. So I'm going to show you the second way to close a pumpkin and make a stem for it. This guy's quite a bit bigger. So the second way you can do this is, you see I have the yarn already pulled through. So we're going to go around the opposite side of where the string is. We're going to start here. We're going to go around and pull through and make another go at this. So then when we pull it tight, I'm pretty sure he's got all of his stuffing in, so now you will see we're almost back at the beginning. This is going to close quite a bit more. So we're just going to give this a pull. And our pumpkin is almost completely sealed now. So I'm going to go and grab the stem and show you guys how to make a bigger stem. Keep this attached. We are going to use the Bernat Black for our stem. I'm going to grab about 5 feet. We're just going to cut it. And then on the one end, you want to have enough extra to sew this on. So double it up. And then on your joined end is where we are going to do the slip knot. There we go. Have a bigger crochet hook. So now that you have your slip knot and your little loop, you're going to want to chain 8. Now, just like the other one, we want to go into the back stitch of each of these. Beans agrees. So this can get a little bit difficult. Chain 1, so 9, and we're going to slip stitch down. Slip stitch is just pulling it through, just like that. And this is going to get a little tight, and that's fine. Slip stitch. There's a short on my channel about how to do a slip stitch. And it can get, like I said, difficult while it's doubled up like this. You can also single crochet this. It depends how thick you want your stem to be. Okay, so now you just pull this through and tie it off. And you also still have your loop, but now you have a stem. Back to our pumpkin. So this is his top. So what you're going to want to do is, I like to go like that. And this is more of a looser one to put on. So I just kind of twist up his strings and stuff them in. I just stuff them in the top. You can leave one kind of hanging out a bit if you want to do the leaves. So we just go in the bottom and just kind of make a stitch and stitch it into the side of our pumpkin. You will find it, I promise. This is why sometimes with these pumpkins it's easier to use the plastic than the metal ones, because the plastic bends easier. That's personal preference. So you want this, give them a couple stitches because you want it to actually stay on, and make sure everything's nice and tight. And some people might say, oh, don't do it too tight. Well, you want to do it tight enough that it's not gonna come off. So we'll give him a stitch over here, and this stitch I'm going to pull all the way through. I'm going to try to. There it is. Sorry, so because of the size of this pumpkin, we can stitch the bottom up a bit too as we're going. So we come back through. Because he has such a big entry. And we'll do one more just to make sure this is held on. We'll go right through. So because this one is more decorative and not so much a keychain, I'm not super worried about this being pulled off. So now that we have it mostly sewn up, if you want to do a couple more stitches just for aesthetic purposes. I'm trying to find the bottom. Oh. There we go. We're going to pull one more through the bottom. And we'll do one more stitch right there. We'll pull it back through the top. It's a little bit of trial and error, but you will get it where you want it. There we go. Now you're probably wondering how you would tie this off. So I'm going to So I just kind of stick it through anywhere. And just pull it through like a side like that. And there we go. And then you can just pull this tight, snip, and there you have it. There is another way to put your pumpkin's stem on. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and tune in for some more, and please excuse the cat hair. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!